We're here at the City of Brotherly Love.
And we're gonna visit the Philadelphia Museum of Art.
Let's go!
We start making our way up the steps made famous by Sylvester Stallone in the movie Rocky. The building's design adapted classical Corinthian Greek temple columns on the outside, as well as Ionic in the main lobby.
The sculpture is called Diana. She is the goddess of hunting and the patron of the moon. And also in the Greek mythology, known as Artemis.
We started through the 18th and 19th century European artwork, admiring the extensive level of detail and the tendency for excess characteristic of the times. The religious influence is also palpable, as represented by this amazing Christ by the great Greek-Spanish painter El Greco. We were then pleasantly surprised by a collection of Art Nouveau posters, some by one of my favorites, Alphonse Mucha. As we make our way to the 20th century, incredible works by Cézanne, Monet, Manet, Renoir, and Van Gogh, to name a few, offer you a sensory overload.
So, Maya, up to the 19th century, art was very realistic. The way they painted the figures and the landscapes was very, very realistic. Until the mid-19th century, the Impressionist movement started coming up, like Manet and Monet, and they disrupted the aesthetic and the reality of things. And then was followed by the second movement, who distorted really figures. Like most of the Impressionists were landscapes and such, but for the Cubists, they started disrupting the figure of people, the faces and the bodies. That's where Braque, Picasso, Van Gris, and painters like that started.
The Cubism section of the museum is amazing, represented by greats like Braque, Picasso, Leger, and Juan Gris. You'll be sure to be transported to the moment when geometric shapes took over traditional representation of figures. Surrealists struggled against the status quo imposed by culture and society. Their rebellion utilized the unconscious or dreaming mind as a weapon and encompassed diverse subjects from mysticism to politics. Although they were a tight-knit group who collaborated and exhibited together, they never sought a unified style and managed to pursue their own path and unique styles.
This is a technique called pointillism. Instead of doing brushstrokes, they do tiny little dots to finish their artwork.
The museum has a fun area for pop art, abstract expressionism, and of course, the Dada urinal by Marcel Duchamp. Museums usually have temporary art installations, many with cool light and monitor shows. And yes, rotten banana peels. There was also another installation with a modern take on the theme of Greek mythology.
Daddy, did a kid draw this?
All of a sudden, we found ourselves transported to the Middle Ages at the Hall of Arms. Swords, plate mails, and shields, remnants of the age of knights serving their kings and queens. Lucky for us, we bumped into an amazing guide who filled Maya with stories and details of this enchanting time.
That is a dragon, a gold dragon, a real dragon. And that gold is made out of gold dust, copper, and mercury.
The level of detail on the armor and swords is mind-blowing. As we move along, we are delighted by room after room, showcasing actual recreations of traditional houses and palaces, all original, and so well represented that you actually feel like you are somewhere in the middle of Europe. There's even parts of churches, as well as this beautiful Spanish courtyard, complete with a fountain. We are then taken from Europe to a trip from Persia to Asia. Beautiful mosaics, rugs, incredibly detailed columns, and bronze statues take you on an amazing historical journey. At the end, you find yourself in a Japanese village whose main building is a traditional Japanese tea house. The name of this tea house is Sunkaraku, which means evanescent joys in Japanese, and it reflects the spirit of the tea drinking ceremony. Using elements from an 18th century tea house, the architect Oji Rodo designed this retreat around 1917 for the grounds of his Tokyo home, and it reveals a special delight in natural materials such as bamboo and cedar. The museum purchased the house from the architect back in the 1930s, making it the only example of his work outside Japan.
So Maya, what's your favorite part so far of the museum?
Well, it's really hard to choose, but I would say a lot of stuff. Like, I love Japan because it's really pretty and it's so peaceful and quiet.
Yes, what else?
I also love the elevator.
The elevator was really cool, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Awesome. What about the those churches they brought from Europe?
that was really
That's
cool.
incredible. And the palace?
The palace.
Yes.
Gold, real gold. And also the Vikings and the stuff like
And
that.
the swords and all the armor.
Swords are so big.
It's great. The museum is awesome, isn't it?
Yeah.
You should come.
As usual, there are some creative activities for kids, and the museum store is very nice and provides you with a wide range of options for your souvenir. And by the way, the museum is free for all kids under the age of 18. What a fun day this was. The museum was even better than we expected. A definite must visit with your kids when in Philadelphia. Maya is leaving happy, wondering where the next artistic adventure lies.